Go flat tracker. Go flat tracker, go, go, go. The Kelpie Flat Track Pod, brought to you by our partners, Euroka Fencing, for all your rural fencing needs. Classic wheels, spokes and Otway hydro blasting. Make your old girl look new again. And ShreadDesign.co for the sickest jersey prints in the biz. And Kelpie, keeping you on track for longer. Now let's get into the episode. All right, sweet. So here we are. There's three of us tonight. So we've got Tom Norvey and Tom's been working pretty hard, inviting some guests and people he's been bumping to and racing up that side of Australia. So today we've got number 93, Kenny Angel. Welcome, mate. Thanks for coming on and having a chat to us. There's lots of things I want to ask you, especially about a Ducati Monster that you throw a leg over. What about you, Tom? We've got a few questions.
Oh, I reckon I might be able to come up with a couple on the way through, but I'll let you take the lead.
Thought you might. So normally the way I deal with it is, especially that we don't know each other very well. So just give us where bikes all started for you, and how old were you? Did you get into it as a little kid or through your dad and mum and that sort of stuff? Just start there.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me on. I'm Kenny Angel. I'm from Gosford, New South Wales, and I started racing when I was about 11 or 12. I got into it. A 96 CR80 was the first one, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
Dad was a motorbike racer, so and he was always into the bikes, and the bikes were always sort of around. So I always had an attraction for the bikes, and then when got the opportunity to start jumping on a bike, I just grabbed it with both hands and just started from there.
And so was that straight into dirt track? Was that the popular thing that your old man was into, or was it motocross? Or?
Well, no, he was into road racing, and he travelled the world. He was a works Yamaha mechanic on the world road race circuit for a while, and
that's all right.
He was doing that for a bit, and then he was racing a bit of speedway sidecars over here when he came back from there, and just the local track. We just went to the local track, which was Somersby, Central Coast Junior Motorcycle Club, and it was 10 minutes from our house, and away we went, sort of thing, from there. So
yeah, cool. So that's where you've lived all your life?
Basically, yeah. I was born and grew up in Gosford, and we moved to Far North Queensland for a few years when I was a young fella, just for a bit of a sea change for a few years, and came back when I was about 10 and started racing a couple of years after that, sort of thing. So
yeah, right. So went right through the ranks then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, been around for a little bit, man. Yeah. 27 years or something now.
Right. Yeah, full on.
Yeah.
And so, did you have any big breaks and go and try anything else for a while, or it's sort of been pretty consistent?
No, not really. I the odd Casey Stoner Cup at Curry used to be like when 20 something years ago. It used to be a lap of the motocross track and then a lap of the flat track combined, sort of thing.
Oh, right.
No, the Joel Elliott. Sorry, it's called the Casey Stoner Cup now. So the Joel Elliott Memorial was that race, and so I gave that a run in my leathers a couple of years in a row, and it just didn't really do it for me, man. I don't like the slow stuff. I just like getting the thing into top gear and letting it eat. From a young age, I was never really interested in the jumping or the slower stuff, and I just wanted to go fast, basically.
So I'm guessing that's why we catch you at tracks like Bathurst and Oyen and those big, faster flowing tracks.
I basically just do the long tracks, man. I don't do any of the other stuff.
Yep. Yeah, okay.
I'm only interested in the long tracks. I'm not interested in any of the others. I just like getting the big bikes and getting them to go fast. That's my thing.
Yeah, okay. So do you ride quite a variety of bikes at the moment, don't you?
Yeah, got one or two, but the girlfriend's pretty forgiving on that. No, it just depends on what track it is, what event it is, what classes they've got to what bikes I take with me. I normally take at least 2 or 3 everywhere I go. You know, and I don't like sitting around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you sit around and you get cold, and you know, I'm there to have a go, and I just like doing laps of the track. So you know, if you're fit enough, then you can ride heaps of classes, you can ride heaps of bikes. You know, like the races are only 3 minutes long, and it's a sprint race. But if you train for it, you know, your fitness won't let you down.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so, what have you done lately? I know you went to the classics and had a few battles with Northey. And was there anything you raced before that, or is that the latest one you've done?
No, so we did 3 in a row. So we did Coffs Harbour state long
Yeah.
track titles at Coffs Harbour, and then back to back we went to Nepean for the classic title, and then the following weekend Aussies at Raymond Terrace.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, how'd you go? You happy with your results?
Yeah, not too bad. Look, Coffs Harbour was really good. Funnily enough, that was one of the tracks that I hadn't been to before.
Oh, okay.
Um, I,
Yeah.
I've been I travel all over the place. You know, like I'm not scared of having a drive. Um, and yeah, I'd sort of never been there. You know, as I said, I'm more into the long tracks and the big ovals and the trotting tracks and stuff. But I just thought, you know, let's go and we'll give it a run. Like, especially they were supporting the twin cylinder class,
Yeah.
which I really liked. So you know, let's go. So I went there. The twin went really good. I'd only just fixed it actually. Had troubles with it at Bathurst. Had a computer issue, and it was
Oh.
breaking down real bad at Bathurst. You know, the guys were starting to catch me. Yeah, and I only just got the job done actually. And truthfully, the thing wouldn't have done another lap. Like
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
it was breaking down real bad. Like it started the last couple of races. I sort of worked out it was a little bit heat related, so I just started not warming it up before I went out to race it, and just rode. You know, pushed it to the dummy grid, rode it out to the start line. Didn't rev it too much. It was already hot, you know what I mean? Like the cases were hot, and just took off from the line. But after 3 laps, the thing was breaking down as it crossed the finish line. So it only just made it across the line, truthfully, in the last race.
So,
I worked.
everything I've seen you race on that, you've been pretty dominant on it. Do you want to tell our listeners and viewers what actually the twin is that you're racing?
Yeah, okay. So from the beginning, the project started with Peter Campbell in Goulburn. You know, basically the godfather of sidecars in this country.
Yeah, okay.
He's who started it all, and truthfully, he's launched the racing careers of countless people in this country. You know what I mean? Like, so props to Peter Campbell. Like, just much respect. But yeah, he started the project a long time ago. Someone wrote it was a written off 600 Ducati Monster when the project started, and somebody wrote it at Bankstown Bike Show like 11 or 12 years ago, and they wrote it and went, "Oh God, that's hopeless. Don't want to have anything to do with it," and put it in the corner. And I was just rolling down to visit PC, and I seen it there, and I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, trying to develop this twin, you know." And I'd been around for a long time, and the twins class was always something that looked pretty cool. You know, it's sort of the feature class when it comes to the American stuff and that. And I always thought that they just sounded cool, man. You know, like. And so I said, "Oh, I'll have a go." And he said, "Yeah, go for it, man. Take it." You know. So I picked up the project there from PC, and the bike was in the very early development stages. It was very unrideable when I got it, and did a lot of work with the suspension geometry and stuff, trying to get it to handle, you know, reasonable, and seat height and foot peg location. I must have made those foot peg mounts about 10 times or something, just trying to get them so they felt nice and weighted the bike properly. So that's where the twin sort of took off. And so I've had it now. It was my 10-year anniversary in June when I got it. I found a photo the other day when I was looking for something else. I was like, yeah, right. So, I mean, I've had the thing for a long time, and I remember taking it a few places, Gunnedah Long Track and Bathurst ages ago, like, 9 years ago, and people sort of were like, well, what's that, and like a few people laughed at it and stuff, and I rode it around at the back of the open class because there was no class for it, and I just kept persisting with the thing, and people started seeing the twin out and about, and next minute, more twins were starting to show up, and I pushed pretty hard trying to get the class back. And it's the sort of thing that if you want to have a class, you just got to keep persistent with it and hope that people jump on board. And it looks like basically everywhere's got a twins class now, so it's pretty cool to get that back happening again. So it's a 600 Ducati Monster. And then I struggled for ages. I got it to handle good, but I struggled trying to get it around the corner. You had to fully commit at the start of the corner, full throttle, or else you couldn't get it around the corner because the thing's so heavy. Yeah. It didn't have the horsepower to be able to steer it with the throttle. One day I just went, that's it. This thing needs some more. So I yanked the jugs off it and turned it into 1,000. Because I'm an engine builder.
Yeah,
high performance race engines at Gosford. Work there a few days a week, and then just tinker around at home with my own stuff. 315 Speed Shop.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah,
and then so I put the 1,000 jugs on it, and the thing. I sent it across the paddock at home, and it was just like, wow, that's what it needed all the way, like all these years. And then I think that was just before the first Corindi long track meet. So I rode it there, and I won that, and it was just so much nicer to ride. It was like, oh God. So come pretty close. Bombardier sort of was fair up me on that bike of his, man. That thing goes pretty good, like for the age of it too, and it's nice and light, that thing, So
what's he got?
Triumph.
Oh yeah, it's a Norton 750.
Oh, Norton, sorry.
Is it?
Yeah. So Norton. Yeah, that thing's rad, man. Like,
hell yeah.
Like it hauls ass, man. So, so then I thought, we better turn him up some. So the pistons come out, and high comp pistons and the methanol, and the thing's just an animal. Like, anyway, and I've been pretty successful with it the last few years running, and it's good to ride, and the suspension works real good now. Gave Pro Moto and Whiteman a go on the suspension. I rolled. He'd done the suspension on my other bikes, and I said, I got another one for you. And I rolled in there, and he just shook his head and was like, really, dude? Like, you serious? And I was like, yeah. Come on, man, let's go. Get it to handle better. So, helped out with there too.
Yeah, right. So even when it was sort of a stock 600, if you're riding it up in the revs, it still wouldn't turn?
No, not really. It's just if you didn't fully commit at the start of the corner and full throttle coming into the corner, it just the gear ratio is really long. Like, it's got a 62 sprocket on the back, and I only ever use the first 3 gears in it anyway. Because they do 300 k's an hour on the road, so they got a stretched out gearbox. So I put a big pizza pan sprocket on the back and tried to get the gear ratios what feels like normal. So it just, if you didn't commit fully at the start of the corner, it just didn't have the horsepower, because it's so heavy. It didn't have the horsepower to get through the rev range to steer it with the throttle sort of thing. It made it really difficult to ride. People, I was just winging it, man. Like, I was just coming into the corner and I knew I had to just have the thing open coming in, or else it wouldn't turn. And people thought, oh, yeah, he's got it, I was hanging on for dear life. Like, I couldn't turn the thing. So they all thought I knew what I was doing. I had no idea, man. Like, that was the only way the thing would get around the corner. So
I love hearing the backstory, because exactly what you're saying, people see you now and go, well, it's always been like that. But you've had quite a bit of development. And that's sort of, I'm interested because I'm quite interested in getting the twin up and going. And it doesn't sound like a stock bike's going to do the job. But if, not if I want to be up the front chasing you anyway.
Yeah, dude. As I said, I got 10 years worth of development on my belt with that bike. Like, and that's what people don't sort of, realize too much or whatever. Or they get one and they're like, oh, how does your one go so good? And it's like, man, I spent ages getting hosed on this thing until I can get it to this point. Like, you're a couple of years in, I'm 10 years in on the thing, like, no wonder it goes good and I can ride it all right. Like, I struggled with it every weekend for years.
I also noticed you were running a trials tyre on it as well on a motocross front. So is that 2118, or did you just have 1919 and found because I think there are some enduro front tyres on 19-inch sort of motocross pattern. Did you do that?
No, man, all my bikes are 2118, like Michelin front and back. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they go the fastest, man. As I said, I'm all about, the horse trotting tracks and letting them eat. So whatever's fastest, let's do that. So
do you have a set of American tyres for it as well, 19s?
No.
No, you don't?
No. I've there was a meeting when was it? It was about 5 years ago in Newcastle in the showground. It was a real small track. And I just went because it was sort of the start of the twins just started to get like a class sort of thing. And the bike had a 19-inch V-rubber on the back then. And then I just happened to have another front because it's got a Honda front hub and in the Ducati forks, because it's all stock suspension. Because the twins class is pretty open. There's not really set rules, but we sort of loosely base it around the rolling sands rules.
Yeah.
So stock geometry, no frame modifications, stock suspension, and that's sort of, I've always tried to keep the bike like that, just bolt on modifications.
Yeah.
I had another hub and I just had a rear 19-inch rear rim, and I spoked it into the hub, and I just put a V-rubber on the front and the rear.
Oh, yeah.
And I rode it up at Newcastle, and it wasn't too bad. It didn't really fit in with what they were trying to achieve on the day, I don't think, and no one said anything in the entries about like the tires, but ever since that day it always says 19-inch like American style or something. Like, there's always a clause to it now, like no trials tire, like, don't run the V-rubber on the front and the back. So maybe I'm responsible for that a little bit. But,
you bastard. My tire's universal exactly, so you can run it like that.
you can get away with it once until until someone gets upset you beat them, I guess.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah. So I was on American tires in New Zealand not long ago on someone else's bike, and he got around me with my own tires on his other bike, which is was a DR400,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And with the AFTN, and I think we've discussed it before. I understand why Dave's done it, but that's American tires only. But it comes down to rider, I think, and you can definitely do it with a trials on the front and the rear in 19, but. Yeah, we're not allowed to, so that's the rules. But
I think after that meeting, I just yanked that wheel back out of it, and the front was a bit dodgy. I just sort of quickly got it together for that night, sort of thing, and I was like, Yeah, no, I think we'll just shelve that one and come back to it later, maybe. And in the rear, I ripped the 19 in. I think I cracked the 19. No, I started breaking spokes in the rear, so I spoke to 18 into it, and then I just that wheel fell apart at Oyen.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it started breaking the. I had Oyen was the best, man. That was rad. Like we drove out there, we had a rad time. Me and my mate Scruff from the Jerkles rolled out there. We
Yeah.
both had 500 two-strokes and twins, and yeah, the twin broke the rear hub like second race in or something
Oh,
because
right.
it was a three-piece Talon hub. And yeah, it sort of cracked all the way around the bolt. So I just kind of rode the thing half throttle down there and just sort of made sure I got the job done on it and just crossed my fingers and hoped that like it lasted sort of thing. So that was the death of that wheel. And yeah, and actually the 500 broke the gear lever just randomly. I didn't crash it or nothing. I just come in after the first race, and the end of the gear lever had broken off.
Oh, right.
So yeah, we just got a tech screw and screwed it into the side of the lever. But that lasted about 2 laps in the next race, and then I got jack of it. And for the rest of the day, I was just reaching down and shifting it with my hand.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Oyen's a fitting place for that sort of behaviour, I reckon. Out in the middle of the desert, it works beautiful. Yeah,
It was awesome, dude. I had a rad time. That was cool.
So did we. We were up there too, and yeah,
Yeah.
the piss up on the night after. Was it the Saturday night? It must have been.
Saturday
Yeah,
night, yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
It was
awesome
killer.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was actually talking to one of the organisers of that up at Mildura not long ago, and yeah, hopefully it's coming back next year. So we'll keep
Perfect. Yeah.
pushing for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We'll come for another run.
yeah, more tracks like that. So that's effectively a half mile, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
800 meters. I think a mile is 1,600, something like that. So
Yeah. It wasn't huge, but it was just the straights were a good size for the corners.
Yeah.
You know, like some tracks the geometry doesn't sort of work out kind of thing. You know, like Mildura's a little bit like the straights are really long and the corners are tighter sort of thing. And like it's just a bit more challenging riding a track like that. But Oyen, it was like the straight was the perfect length for the radius of the corner, you know.
Yeah, I feel
Bathurst is a bit like that too.
Yeah, I feel Bathurst was like that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Nice long radius for the corners, so you can take your time. You know, it feels like you've got a lot of time in the corner.
Yeah,
which is
well, like
beautiful.
Wagga Wagga used to be like that too when we raced there at the long track, the trotting track in the middle of town. We rode that.
Right. Yeah, right.
Years ago, long time ago, man. You know, like I was racing a 125 back then. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, I was watching AFT this morning because it's last 2 rounds of their series in the States, and Springfield Mile, and I'd love to have a crack on that. Yeah,
yeah, they were moving.
Yeah, they were moving. So you watched it as well?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it. Yeah. I just watched the Twins race, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's funny. I sometimes I skip through a little bit, but it depends on how much I've got on and what I've got to be doing and stuff, and how much time I've got. But this morning I was like, I didn't want to, because it's the points are so tight. I didn't want to miss anything. And we've obviously the singles were sort of wrapped up, but I wanted to see if Tom, if Cody Kopp had a bad day, Tom could have actually jumped quite a bit, and he did an awesome. Yeah, the singles was still awesome. So I won't spoil it for people that may not have watched it.
I watched a bit of that, and then watched the Speedway Grand Prix today. That was on last night in Cardiff, so I always give that a look and see how the boys are going.
Is that something you've raced as well? Have you raced a bit of solos?
So I rode junior speedway when I was younger with all the Holder boys, and grew up racing with them and Casey Stoner and it was pretty tough being a junior. Like when I was coming through, man, like dudes like that, you're lining up against them week after week, and they picked up the ball and ran with it when they turned senior. So it was pretty cool. But I raced junior speedway. I was like 6 foot tall when I was 14. Like I was way too big for the bike. Like it's like a praying mantis hanging off the thing, So I sort of did that for a bit, and then I was like, man, I'm too big for this bike, and I think I raced it until I was about 15, and just went, yeah, I'm way too big for it. So just stuck to the dirt bike sort of thing, and then I started sort of going all right. I was really competitive. Back then, it was only 2 strokes. There was no 4 strokes. So it was, the 125, the 250, or the 500 class. So I was pretty competitive on the 125, and so I just stuck to racing that until I turned senior and into my senior years kind of thing.
I hear you're still pretty competitive on the 125.
Yeah, not too bad.
Maybe Tom wants to tell us about that.
No, I've got no comment.
No comment. Oh.
No comment.
Oh, that's a cop out, isn't it, Kenny?
So it's the same bike.
Yeah, is it? You had a bit of an off. Had a bit of an off at the classics. Tell us about that. What happened there?
Oh man, I don't know. I never come off. You know what I mean? Like I reckon I'm a pretty safe rider, and truthfully, I don't like coming off anymore. I'm 38 years old. I don't want to fall off the thing. I never fall off anymore, and I don't know what happened, but I went to Coffs Harbour and I threw the 450 down the road, and then I just went. I was pushing too hard, and I went, yeah, that's fair enough, And then next minute, I threw the CR 500 down the road, and I didn't even know what happened. I was just sitting on the ground. I shook it off and just cruised around for the rest of Saturday, and then Sunday had a rethink and got my act together, But then, the following weekend we went to Nepean, and the track conditions were challenging.
That's an understatement and a half.
I like the way you're looking at Tom to say, is it all right to say that? Or,
It was fantastic till it pissed down rain. And I'm definitely not a fan of a saturated track. So challenging is probably an understatement. And I think Kenny and I being bar to bar pretty much every race we were in, we're sort of looking at each other thinking, well, who's got the balls? And then there was one point we both came into turn one at Nepean, and my front left, and I looked over and his front left, and it sort of just caught at the same time, and we sort of just glanced at each other and was like, oh shit. So then we were sort of a little bit tedious after that, but we definitely weren't going as fast as we were in the first couple.
So rode the 125, the 250 and the 500 in the, it was wet. There's nothing you can do about it. It rained in the middle of the day, we had to get the meeting done. So, it was wet, and rode the 125, and, me and Tom ran into each other a few times, and it was good fun. Had a great day. And then the 250 was on the start line. My mate Shane Pike was there, and my girlfriend Ash. One of them had the 250 and one of them had the 500, because all 3 bikes were all back to back on the start line. So I just rode straight off the track, straight to the start line, jumped off one, ripped a tear off, jumped on the other, and then took off. So I won the 125 and then took off on the 250, got a killer start, first in the first corner, second going through the dog leg, and then, the rider in front fell off, and I just had nowhere to go, and it was either hit him or stand it up and hit his bike, and unfortunately I hit his bike and went over the handlebars, and I sort of hurt my wrist and my shoulder, and adrenaline was pumping. I jumped back on and tried to keep rolling with it, and I came in and it was pretty sore, and the girlfriend looked at me and was like, you all right? And I was like, yeah, just give me that 500, and jumped on that and rode that and just rode it around, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm so hurt and I'm so banged up, and I think I got 4th on that, and I came in, and the 25 lapper was next, and I was like, oh, do I, don't I, and was like, no, I'm here. Let's do it. Like, so I took off, and then I got a flat tire on the 500 about 4 laps in or something. I think I was in about third or fourth at the time. I'm not sure. And then I got a flat tire, and it was one of those times when I just went, oh, thank you. Like, I didn't want to stick it out for another 15 laps. Like, I was hurting, man. I was like, you know what? Like, that's all right. I'm going home. So we just loaded up and did presentation and left. So, yeah, you go home and you have a hot shower and you sleep it off and try and walk it off the next couple of days. And I did that, but we had the Aussie titles the very next weekend at Raymond Terrace, the long track title. And by the end of the week, I was like, man, it's still pretty sore. And I was like, oh well, we'll sort her out next week. So I went to the Aussie titles. Had a good weekend. Track was not too bad.
You keep looking at me every time you talk about track conditions. I'll be brutally honest, but I'll let you have this one.
Yeah. The club tried to get a bit of dirt in, and they tried their best, and it didn't. There was a few patches that didn't mix in sort of the greatest, and it broke up in a few sections, sort of thing, and on the first day, sort of just tried to get through the rounds that we needed to get through, and then on the Sunday, they spent a lot of time, and the track was heaps better on the Sunday. And it just down the bottom, it sort of had a bit of a hole on the way out, and in the final, I took off on the over 35s final, and then I got a bad start, and I sort of jumped just ate through the pack in the first sort of turn. I think I got into about like fourth or fifth, and then did a lap. And when I came around, I big move around the outside, and jumped into second, and just hit a big hole, and the hand couldn't take it, and hand come off the handlebars and speared off the track, sort of thing. And a couple of boys jumped past me again, and I got back onto the thing and chased them down. I ended up third for the weekend on that one. And then, when we got home, my girlfriend was like, we're going to the doctor now. Like, you're no good, man. I was like, yeah, all right. I'll admit defeat now. Like, let's go. And, they're like, go straight to emergency. You got a broken wrist and there's something wrong with your shoulder. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, fair enough. Like, let's go. So anyway, they did all the scans and all the stuff, and they said everything's, you don't need any surgery or whatever. So just, and I said, well, so you calling me a pussy and telling me to walk it off then? And he's like, oh, no, just you got out of it lucky, man. Keep rolling, So, yeah. So just taking it easy. I mean, it's been a full-on few weeks racing, so it's sort of nice to just chill for a week or two now. And this Trackmasters only got moved the other day, which I was really glad about, because that was supposed to be end of the month. And, that's at Hunter again, and I'm sort of glad that got moved, because, I want to have time to heal up a bit before I go and take it on. So,
right. So that sort of answers too. You're not doing any AFTN. They've got the twins the next 2 rounds there, or one of the rounds. It might not be the TT. It might just be the first day, I think. You're not going to get into any of that?
No, I was going to. I've been to Brisbane a few times. I roll up for Dust Hustle and stuff. The track's awesome up there. It's always rad, like they run a tight ship up there too. It's always good racing up at North Brizzy there. And I was going to go. I was thinking about rolling up and supporting the twins class, I'd have to make wheels and stuff. And I was up and about it. Like, I try to support the twins class as much as I can, but as I said, man, I just like the long tracks, dude. Like, get me on the horse trotting tracks and let me eat, So I was thinking about it, but we'll give it a miss, man. I'm injured and I'm broke, man.
Happens quick, especially when you have 3 or 4 big weekends like that in a row. Like,
especially when you're taking multiple bikes and that too, So like, it's
right.
just, it's I suppose we all make the sacrifices we do to do the crazy sport that we like, but yeah, it's sort of nice to have a break for a couple of weeks, and yeah,
So
there's not much on it.
you mentioned your height before, and it sort of made me think. Does being on a twin, is that better for when you're taller, or is it just? I mean, because that would be lower seat height than like your 500 and that, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. The block's a lot smaller, but I mean, most of the real good motorbike races aren't tall guys. Not to say tall guys can't get the job done, but the jockeys seem to fit the bikes better and stuff. But we make do. Just your knees get in the way of the handlebars a little bit, and being a tall guy, you learn to deal with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not too bad, man. Like yes, the twin is a lot smaller than the other bikes. And it took me a little bit to try and work out how to ride that. But with the longer fuel tank, you sit back a lot further on that bike, and you sort of get the room by doing that.
Yeah, right.
I found.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the original tank. You didn't put some homemade job on or anything like that afterwards. That's all original.
No, God, no.
Yeah,
PC. Yeah. Peter Campbell made that tank. It's a scratch-built aluminium tank that he made for the bike when he first developed it. The seats one of those Harley seats, the fiberglass.
Oh yeah,
XR 750, whatever Harley seat. That are
the ducktail.
I put that on. Yeah. So but no, PC made the tank because the bike, he got the bike. It had hit a gutter and done a front flip and wrecked the handlebars and the tank and the seat. I'm pretty sure, and the front wheel. So that's where the project come about. And so, because the tank was wrecked, he just made a new tank for it and stuck a seat on it that he had lying around.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. So, but back then it was carbureted too, so it sort of didn't matter. It just had to be a box with a tap on the back of it. But yeah, when I changed it over and put the fuel injection on, when I put the 1,000 jugs on the thing, I was unsure whether I'd have to remake the tank or try and put the original fuel pump inside the tank, because originally they had a submergible tank on the ST2s, which is what the barrels and that and the heads, and when the conversion happened from the 600 to the 1,000. So so a lot of stuff sort of had to swap over, but I sort of didn't want to, because I'd gotten so used to riding the thing with the seat and the tank and the handlebars and everything that I didn't want to change too much. I just wanted to give it more horsepower to make it easier to ride. So, I just mounted a car fuel pump up under the tank, and it's a bit bulky and stuff, but I mean, the thing weighs 200 kilos anyway, so whatever, man.
Yeah, surely it's only going to help get power to the ground, a little bit more weight on the back.
Yeah. Essentially, it's it's not a 1-2-5 2-stroke. You don't have to worry about eating a big lunch. Like, the thing weighs that much anyway. It doesn't matter. So you're not going to cut weight out of it by having a lighter fuel pump. So
you were saying too before about obviously racing, we spend a dime, and that you must save yourself a bit being able to do a lot of the mechanicals yourself. How did you get into that? Through your dad? You said he was a mechanic for race teams and that. Did you learn, I couldn't learn shit from my dad. He was a complete psycho in the garage, throwing spanners and all sorts of shit. So I had to learn myself because it was a danger zone, but that's probably why I'm so far behind. But was that the opposite for you? You learned through dad and sort of just went from there?
Yeah, absolutely. I was always that mechanically minded sort of kid, pulling the push bike apart and putting it back together just for the sake of it and that sort of thing. And Dad was like, "Oh,
you
I'm going to
got
rebuild
yours
this
back.
engine."
You got yours back together. Mine was doing bits in the garage.
It all sort of came from there, and then I did a tool making apprenticeship, like machining apprenticeship, when I left high school. It was either that or be a mechanic, and I got offered both of those jobs, and just changing oil and filters at a dealership didn't sound that cool compared to making stuff out of metal. So I took that, and then later on I got my mechanical trade, and along with all my welding tickets and all the rest of it, sort of thing that you accumulate along the way. But it just I just sort of was always into that, and I just always rebuilt my own engines. Like me and Dad hung out in the garage and turned the two-stroke up and tried it out that weekend. Went down to Peter Campbell's place and made the downpipes for him, and took it home and jumped on the lathe and reshaped the head, and turned the port timing up way too much. And the thing used to go to we took those 125s, we took them to Bathurst, and now that turned up that, like, Dad used to have to buy 2 pistons before we went, and we'd put one in the bike and ride it around the paddock and run the piston in and take it out, and then put it back in the box, put that in the toolbox, put another piston in it, run that one in, and then take the thing to Bathurst. And it used to do like 3 races, and then quick, come in, rip the barrel off it, change the piston, because it wouldn't do another race. Like, and we're only doing 3 laps. Like, the slug would be good for like 9 laps because the thing was that turned up, and then it'd just eat it. Like, it was that high strung. But man, like, I'd be overtaking dudes on the straight. Like, just the thing flew, But it was like, quick, rip the jug off between races and swap the piston out before the final. The thing was that turned up. It was good fun. I guess that's where it comes from.
Far too much hard work for me. Like.
No wonder I couldn't catch the bloody thing at Nepean. No wonder I couldn't catch the bloody thing at Nepean.
Just turn. It was fun having it like that for a while, and then sort of dumbed it down a shade, so I didn't have to do that anymore, because it started getting a bit old after a while. Like, you come in and feel, and that's when everything went to plan. Like, half the time I'd do like, second lap of practice, and the thing would be like hosing people on the straight, and I'd get to the end of the straight and throw it into the corner, and it'd just go, launch me over the handlebars because it locked up. So, and then like, quick, go rip the battery out of the car so we can tip some battery acid on the chrome bore to get the aluminium off, so we can stick the other piston in it, before the first race started. So, it was crazy, dude. But it was fun,
what do you do now? Because most batteries are sealed, and you can't get the acid out. You're going to have to carry a separate little bottle of acid.
You got to do what you got to do, I'm sure there's an old tractor in the pits lying around that someone's not looking. So
they go to get the tractor to prep the track. There's nothing going here. Go see Kenny.
They're not that turned up anymore. Like, that was we were at the pointy end of it then. Like, the 2-strokes, they were all brand new at that time, and that was the only classes we had, so that was what we were doing. And you can't do that level of you can't turn the bikes up. Look, not that you need to, they're fast enough now, but you can't do that between races with a 4-stroke. Like, there just isn't enough time to do that. Like, it's a bit like a top fuel dragster, like, people are like, but the tune must not have been right if you were eating pistons. And I was like, no, the thing was just that high strung. Like a top fuel dragster would do one pass and they change the piston, and the rods between races, and that's what we were doing with the thing. It was that high strung. So.
And it's funny how you're sort of saying that was what, in the 80s, was it, or 90s, early 90s?
It was late late nineties, early 2000s.
Yeah,
They
okay.
were doing that.
Because
Yeah,
it's sort of a common theme in dirt track, isn't it? Like we've seen quite a few people, including myself, said it'd be good to have a stock class where you can have a pipe, and just to keep the racing sort of affordable for across the board for everyone. But
yeah.
it seems to be a big trend, especially in Australian dirt track. It's half the fun is to see how fast you can get the bike to go. And
Oh yeah.
unfortunately, that takes a bit of money,
Oh
So,
yeah.
but it seems to be a pretty big trend that I've noticed right throughout the decades, throughout the years of
Yep.
racing here. I listened to, is it Jeff Ballard from Ballard Accessories, and the reason he went with enduro is because of the money that they used to spend on the dirt track, and they couldn't
Yeah.
afford to do it, and it's like, well,
Oh man. And like if you were paying someone to do the hours that me and Dad spent on those
yeah,
bikes, like
yeah,
you know what I mean? You would have to
kill
mortgage the house. Like it's just you know what I mean? Like we were just doing it because we were playing around in the shed of a night time. So
yeah, and learning. I bet you learn
and
heaps
learning.
doing it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So it was cool, it was good fun. But yeah, that's right. We seem to turn the bikes up a fair bit, but truthfully, man, all those new bikes are off their head anyway. You don't need to turn them up any. You know what I mean? Like those new 450s and stuff have got way too much. Like there's not many dudes in the country that can ride one of them to their full potential.
yeah.
You know?
Well, I definitely can't.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
They actually
but
did a survey. It's 5% of 450 owners can ride them to their full potential worldwide.
yeah,
And
right.
you're looking at motocross, supercross, and every other discipline they use the bikes in. It's literally 5%. There's probably top motocross riders that don't even ride the bike to its full potential. So that shows like how much they actually have when you've got someone on it that can really push it to its limits.
Absolutely. A bit like the CR500s, man. Like,
Yeah.
there's only a handful of dudes in Australia that can actually ride one of those to their potential. Like, you know, like I go all right on it, but I'm just flapping around, dude. Like, no way I'm riding that thing to its potential. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you want to grab him, just wring that thing's neck, that thing that he's got, or have a look at Michael Kirkness,
Yeah.
at the beach race, wring that thing's neck, and dudes like that, and they'll even tell you like, oh, yeah, I ride it pretty good, but
Let's do a
there's
bit
other
more.
dudes, yeah, it's always, yeah, like I don't know, can probably go quicker, so.
So, how was 315 Speed Shop born?
I moved out of home when I was, I don't know, 21 or something, and moved into a industrial factory bay. The the motorcycle addiction and stuff sort of a normal rental house wasn't going to cut it. You know what I mean? Like the shed, the one car garage just wasn't big enough. So it was my old address, man. It was Unit 3, number 15, and
Right.
the numbers don't really have too much relevance apart from that. It just 315 seemed to roll off the tongue all right, and I just sort of kept rolling with it. So
Yeah, cool.
just like my mates all came round, and all the walls in the shed were all graffitied. Every 6 months or something, they'd come back around and redo it, and I had all sorts of things. I had like a big fish and like all sorts of characters and gremlins and all sorts of stuff. And then it was always like, oh, what are we going to paint next? And then one day, yeah, that sort of got thrown up on there, and it just sort of sounded cool. And as I said, it rolled off the tongue, all right. So I just sort of kept telling people to, call the shed that, call my house that, and that's where that came from.
Yeah, awesome. So just move to one of the sides so we can have a look at those graphics a bit. Did you do that yourself, or it was one of your mates? Or
Yeah, one of my mates, Sean. We worked together at the chop shop. We built custom show cars and bikes for years. In the elite show car world. Motor X and Summon Apps and stuff like that. So, we, heaps of late nights building stupid, ridiculous show cars and bikes that you'd never even take on the street or nothing. Like those bikes were that polished that you wouldn't even start them up. So just dripping in chrome. But so we I spent years building those sorts of things, and my buddy Sean worked there, and he done the logo for me a few years ago.
Awesome.
Just before I got my tent made. And that's what's on my tent. You've probably seen my tent around the tracks, and that's sort of, threw that on the tent just for something to get on there. So
that's cool. So can people send, like, if they want some sort of let's go with the twin thing, can they send you a twin and pay some cash to build one up for them? Or
you're not asking for yourself, are you, Darcy? You're trying to get a few ideas, trying to get a few connections there, I see.
I'm just putting the feelers out first, Tom. I'm never too direct.
Build me a bike, would you?
No, that's what I do, dude. I build engines a couple of days a week at that engine shop in at Gosford, the local engine shop, and and apart from that, I tinker in the shed at home, building bikes and moving the foot pegs on my Ducati again. So that's if anyone needs anything, just hit me up. So if you want a pipe build, or
is that the best way to get hold of your 315 Speed Shop on? I was looking at your Instagram. You got one on there. That'd be the best way for someone to message you.
Just search that hashtag and you'll find me, man.
Yeah, sweet. So do that, because there's some pretty cool stuff on there, and it looks like you've got all the machinery from the pictures and that, and a few little vids and stuff I was seeing as well. Looks like you've got all the gear. So as anyone that works on bikes or has even started to tinker, if you ain't got the right tools, it's a shitload harder. So sometimes it is easier to send it to someone with the know-how and the right tools.
More like stuff that you've gathered over the years, like accumulation of stuff that comes your way, and you need it to do a certain thing, and there's only so many times that I gotta drive 20 minutes away to use old mate's machine, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna have to buy one now. Okay. Tell the girlfriend, all right, we're on the baked beans again for another few weeks. I need to buy a new machine,
Nothing wrong with baked beans, mate. Good source of fibre.
2-minute noodles, let's go.
That's probably why you could do another couple of events with broken wrists and a rotor cuff gone, because of the beans. You mentioned something when we were talking off here too that I didn't know about. You got a bit of a YouTube channel, so you're a bit of an old hand at being in front of a camera, and Tom was pretty impressed, actually. I think he was blushing when you had your background up and your mic and your sound all set up within like 3 seconds, and he's going, what the? It's taken us 3 pods.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. I sort of I was doing a bit of it years ago, and the editing takes a long time to put a video together and that sort of thing, and I started doing a bit, and then I had a break from it for a bit. And then Shane Pike, one of my buddies, he does a lot of stuff. He's employed by Sydney Dragway and stuff to do all the filming for all the drag racing and burnout events, and does all like the mini truck shows and the car shows and things like that. So he approached me one day and said, hey, I want to do some different stuff. Do you mind if I come and tag along and do some motorbike stuff? And I was like, no, dude, I normally go everywhere on my own. Like, more than happy for someone to jump in and, someone to talk to for a while on the drive. So he come along and he wanted to do some stuff. So he started making a few videos of me, and then just to shoot some different things. And then that's when he, linked up with Tom and Jim as well, and started doing some stuff with those guys as well. So it was just sort of something different for him. And then all of a sudden it was like, I'm going to Bathurst, and he did sort of a bit of a run to Bathurst. We went to Nepean and did some testing, and he come over and was helping me out, do some work on the bike, and it was kind of cool, a bit of a lead up before we went. And then he came to Bathurst with us and made the video for Bathurst, and that's actually the one that you've seen. Mount like Panorama Motorcycle Club reposted it and stuff the next day, and Shane made that video, and we did presentation, and then we went to the motel to have a couple of beers and then crash out for the night. And Shane was there on his laptop editing the video. Like, he stayed up most of the night and did the video, and it came out like the next day, sort of thing. So
most of the night, I think we went home at like 2:00 in the morning.
It was a late one. It was after midnight, I think.
Oh, it was a late one, yeah.
Yeah, but so that's sort of where that came about. So like Shane Pike Films or Inspired Existence are both of his YouTube channels, and the stuff that he's been doing with me, he's been trying to sort of revisit and help me out with I was just trying to get all my stuff in one place. It was kind of all spread out and that. So yeah, he's been trying to get that happening for me, and he's been doing like a mini profile documentary thing. So we've nearly finished that off too. Look out for that on his channel as well. So that should be dropping pretty soon. We just got to get a little bit more footage at the engine shop or something. I haven't even seen it, man. Like, he's just doing his thing, and he's like, he reckons he's nearly done. So be on the lookout for that pretty soon.
Yeah, you're not wrong about the editing. It can take a long time. I did the one of AFTN, and I had a couple little incidents as well with losing stuff and a couple computer problems. And I think, like, I was happy with what I put out, but I knew it could be better. It was my first attempt, so I just went, if I spend any more time on that, that's crazy. I spent something like 26 hours on it anyway, and
the time gets eaten up. But watch him do it, man. He's so quick at it. Like, so if anyone wants some of that stuff for promotional, to send out to sponsors or anything like that, or even like people that run events, just get hold of Shane. Like, get hold of him. Like, he'll do a video for an event, and they're quality, dude. Like, they're rad. So
he's one of the coolest dudes. He come up to Gemini and said he's going to do a little vid and all that for us for Bathurst, and like just off the goodness of his heart and just the way it come out, man. Like, every time I see him, I would definitely make the effort to go say g'day to him. He's easy to talk to, very professional, knows exactly what he's doing, knows exactly what to do, and can give you the style of video that you want, and to try and sort of portray you in the way that you want to be thrown out there. So yeah, definitely give Shane a hit up. I definitely back what Kenny's saying about him for sure.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll have to check his channel out, because I'm, as you know, I'm doing video and stuff as well. I'm trying to learn as much as I can at the moment. So just got to ask you, Kenny, is that a SodaStream bottle?
Absolutely.
Bloody awesome.
Get it in here.
You're gonna get a couple of these in here.
It's funny because I use that as my drink bottle, and the missus hates it because there's always one SodaStream bottle missing.
Full of vodka.
Where's that SodaStream bottle? Is it in your van again? Yeah.
Yeah, it's addictive, man. Like, SodaStream.
Yeah, rock on.
Too.
He's going to have them all over your bike soon.
Maybe.
That must be like an 80s kids flashback or something. Like, we had a SodaStream when we were younger, but it was fawn and brown, and I think the bottles were glass from memory. I don't think they were plastic like they are now.
Yeah, probably, man. Yeah.
There, Tom. Am I satisfying you with my rambling off into a totally different subject?
No, mate, it's all you, buddy. I just sometimes I giggle to myself and see how far you take it before you see the look of mine and go, oh, maybe I better get back to dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it sounds like yeah, it sounds like it's been a big part of your life for a long, long time. Can you share with us any like really awesome memories that you just really stick in your mind?
Yeah, probably, man. Like I remember going to the obviously I'm talking about long track because that's all I'm interested in. But man, I Muswellbrook long track and Wagga, and we drove all over the place and got close so many times. But Bathurst was always the big one, Like no matter what, we were going, and that was always a big one. And I always came close, and I never got the job done. And blew the bike up, or this happened, or that happened, or get a bad start in the final, or something. Just it was the one that had always eluded me. And then a couple of years ago, it was so nice to finally just get the win there and get it on the twin. Like we had a twins class, and it came real close. It came down to the last race. Yeah, we were equal on points, and yeah, sort of, yeah, it was cool. That was one of the ones. It was like we finally got through this event and got it on the top of the box. Like, it had eluded me for so long. So that would have to be the standout. And it was rad. Mum and dad were there. Me best mate from childhood, he came with me just to hang out. I was like, dude, come on, I've got it this year. Like, you got to come and share it with me. It's going to be rad, So it was just cool to have that everyone there and finally, get the job done there without blowing an engine up. So yeah, it was rad, dude. That'll definitely stay with me. All the other events that it's not even about the winning. It's like I said to Tom. Like, after we rode Nepean and the track was wet and we were bashing into each other, like, that was rad. It didn't matter who won. It was just the racing was good, and like that. I always wanted to win Bathurst, but the racing was real good too. Like, I didn't just walk away from everyone and hose them all. Like, I really had to battle, and it come down to the wire. I think that last, as we crossed the finish line, I think I beat Damien by like 12 100ths of a second. And it came down to that race in the end, like, that was the closest like event at the whole meeting too. And to work hard and to have it by that narrow a margin sort of thing, it was cool. It was nice to win it, but it was just cool that I had to battle to get the job done too.
Yeah, I think you sort of hit what real racing is on the head there. Like you say, if you're winning by huge margins all the time, it actually, I think, doesn't matter if you're a Tom Drain, if you're a Jared Brook, or whoever you are. If you're winning like that all the time, they would all say that's boring. I want someone right on my ass trying to saw me front wheel off and make me work hard for it.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to earn it. Yeah, it's all about the battle.
Yeah. And
so,
I even, like, I want to win. When I go out, I won't lie. I want to win. I get disappointed if I don't have the meeting that I envision on my way driving up, or whenever it is, or the week before. But as long as I have, like, at Aubrey the other weekend, I didn't ride the way that I wanted to, but I still had some good battles. And that makes, and like, I had to work out how I'm going to get around this rider, and that made me walk away going, well, that was awesome. I had an awesome battle. Like, I didn't take the wins that I wanted and that sort of thing. But we still had some good bar banging times, and it wasn't just like getting lapped or the opposite, being way out in front. So I think you have to have that challenge, even if it's not at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't. It's nice to win, but it doesn't even have to be at the front. If you're got a tight battle with someone and you're coming into the corner and you're up them and you're trying to put the pressure on and trying to predict, are they going to go deep? Are they going to, how are they going to do the corner? Because I got to line it up to get past them if I can. That's what it's all about, and then just trying to stick that move and coming in and coming in hot on the inside even, and just knowing that you're going to overcook the corner, but just come in, stick your nose in front, and try to slightly put them off on the way in, to force a mistake to make the pass, because you're both traveling at the same speed. You got to do something to either line them up around the outside or try to jump inside, even if it's going to push you wide mid corner, and just try to stick the corner.
And when the racing's like that, after the race, like that other rider will turn around, and I would almost guarantee they're either going to fist bump you, high five you, thumbs up you, and you can see the smile, behind the goggles, behind the mouthpiece of the helmet, because they're there for the same reason,
that's what it's all about, man. Yeah, that's what we're there for. You know what I mean? Like that's they say rubbing's racing, but just having that, being able to ride at that speed, close to people confidently, trying to see who can take the position like that. That's what it's all about. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes flat track fun, especially.
Yeah, it certainly is. Do you have any questions, Tom, for Kenny? Like anything springing to mind?
No, not at the moment now. Pretty much all the questions I've got, he's answered at the moment or explained it. So, I don't need to be repeating myself.
So we know you're on a high fiber diet. Is there any other diet and training that you throw in there, or apart from baked beans and late nights? And I dare say, are you a drinker, a bottle of whiskey to wash that down, or?
No, not. Look, I do take my racing very seriously, and when I'm coming up to a big event, I try to do everything I can to make sure that I'm physically capable and in the right mental frame of mind leading up to the event. And it's something that I never used to do, but it's something that I learned later on in life that really makes a difference. You spend all these hours preparing the bike, and then you eat rubbish and roll up to the meeting thinking about other stuff, and you're not going to get it done. Like you're going to be nowhere, and then be disappointed when you go home. So leading up to a big event, I go to the gym daily sort of thing. It's more of a mental health routine thing that I started doing years ago. When I got back, not that I gave it away, but I had a little bit of a break, not so serious in my 20s, mid-20s sort of thing, and then got serious about it and got back into it in my 30s. And, leading up to a big event, I'll change my training up a bit more, because I ride multiple, like I always take heaps of bikes with me. You got to be physically fit and less on the weights and more on the cardio and stuff like that. And just make sure that when you get there and you're going to ride 3 bikes at the one event, and different bikes, especially that Ducati and that 500 two-stroke, man, you got to be fit to ride those things. Like, they are physically demanding. 500 rattles your hands off the handlebars, like it's fast and light and it's got heaps of horsepower, but it vibrates your eyeballs in your helmet, and that Ducati, that was the biggest thing, and that's where the training sort of started. That I was like 60 kilo, lanky kid, and trying to ride that 200 kilo Ducati, and I was like, man, I'm going to hurt myself on this thing. So started trying to, put a bit of size on just to ride that bike better. And then realize that, hey, this actually makes a big difference when you do this sort of training and stuff leading up to a big event. So, the diet and the exercise and the physical side of that then helps you out with your mental preparation coming into an event, because you know that you're physically ready. Your diet's good. You know that you've done all you can to prep the bike, but then you know that you've done all you can to prep yourself as well. So when you turn up to the event, you're not doubting yourself and you're ready to go. So yeah, like no, I don't mind a beer, but like no drinking, clean diet, exercise, mental preparation. It all comes to it when you want to achieve a goal. And yeah, so I do that, and then before a big event,